Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Vollmar. Have you ever lost a loved one to a terminal illness? Whether it could be a mother, father, sibling, child, friend. Well, in the past several weeks, I've actually encountered some very strong people that have taken care of loved ones that were dying. The common denominator, there's actually three families, and the common denominator for these three families was that the families took the person home and honored their wishes to pass away at home in their own home surrounded by their family, and it was very difficult. The first person that I want to talk about is a good friend of mine. Her mom had a very debilitating stroke. It was very severe, and she wasn't able to talk, she wasn't able to eat or move, she couldn't scratch her own nose. I mean, it was a terrible, terrible stroke. She was in and out of the hospital and the rehab with infections over the last 6 weeks, and the doctors ended up coming to the family. They had a meeting, and they said to the family, there's really nothing else we can do for your mom. She's not going to get better, and she had a living will that said she did not want a feeding tube, she did not want to be kept alive by tubes or machines, and she did have a feeding tube put in. So they removed the feeding tube and they took her home to her own home with hospice. Now her daughter, she's not a nurse, she's just a very caring daughter, and she had 4 brothers, and they were amazing also. And they took the mom home, and I went down and helped them. I helped the daughter, wash up her mom. We put a pretty nightgown on her, covered her with a cozy blanket that she used all the time, and she just looked so peaceful and so comfortable in that bed. So different from when she was in the hospital or when she was in the rehab. She just seemed so much more at ease. And she lasted for about a week, and then she did pass, and the daughter and one of the sons had moved in, and so they were with her. And her sister had come from out of town, the mom's sister, and she was there also. So it was very rewarding, very peaceful. And I said to my friend and her family, I said, you guys did an amazing job. I said, to do that, to take care of your mom and to bring her home and to do everything that you did for her was amazing. It was a gift. It was a gift to give someone when they're passing, that they could come home and be surrounded by their family. They were amazing. The second family that I wanted to mention was a patient of mine. We have a clinic, and the patient comes into the clinic for the last 5 years. I know her very well. She has 3 daughters, and she had a terminal lung disease, and the patient went on hospice, and the daughters actually for the last 3 months took turns, 2 or 3 days at a time. They would stay with the mom, and they took care of her, and she just recently this last week passed. I talked to one of the daughters. She hadn't been coming into the clinic, obviously, but I talked to the daughter, and I just told her how wonderful they were and how it was just so amazing that their mom, she got to stay home, and she stayed in her own bed, and she passed so peacefully. And they gave her that gift, another gift. It just comes back to, it's a gift for that person that's passing. And there's no regrets. You can't look back and say, oh, I wish I had done this. So I said that to the daughter. I said, you guys, it was a tribute to the mom that she raised them well, and same thing with my friend's mom. She raised her children to a certain way that they turned around and paid her back and gave her care. The last person I wanted to mention was just this past week, another patient of mine. Her and her husband are both patients. They come into our clinic, known them for over 5 years, and the husband was coming down the hall, and he started crying, and he said to me, I'm like, oh, what's the matter? And he said, oh, they told her that she only has 1 to 2 weeks to live. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was right there. She was in a wheelchair. She was right there. And she was very calm, and he was crying, and he said her kidneys are failing, and she only has 1 to 2 weeks to live. And our 70th anniversary is next week. And I said, your 70th anniversary? Who has a 70th anniversary? They're in their 90s, so they got married very young, obviously, but 70 years they were together. He is going to miss her terribly. And there she sat. She was told she was going to die within 1 to 2 weeks. And I looked at her and I said to her, I can't even imagine how that feels. And he said, well, we're having hospice come in today. The priest is coming Saturday. He said, and we're going to keep her home. And he's crying and crying, and I'm just about crying, and she's very calm still. And he said, we're gonna keep her home and we're gonna take care of her. And she goes, I just want to be in my own home with my own family. I just want to be in my own family. And I said, I totally get that. I said, that's amazing. I said, and it's a gift. And I said to both of them, I said, you are giving her a gift for your 70th anniversary, that she will be able to pass away peacefully in her own home, surrounded by her family. It's amazing. And I looked at her and I said, I'm not going to see you again. They were getting ready to leave, and I gave her a hug, and her husband was crying. I gave him a hug, and I was crying, and it was so sad. But at the same time, I felt a little bit of peace, because I knew she was going to pass away in her own home, surrounded by her family. There's no greater gift than that. And it's just something to think about. It's just touched me over the last few weeks, and I wanted to talk about it with all of you. Thank you.